Ike Valley over there.
Oh, where? Hey, everyone. Welcome to Loose Lips.
Oh, our lips are loose tonight.
Yes, they are. And we got a couple. We got what? 2, 4, 6, 8 lips today.
Well, maybe even more, but that's another show.
Yes. Oh, Tim, we're going to dive right into our sponsor every
Who
show.
is our sponsor?
Uberlube.
I love Uberlube.
You know what I hate? When people go like this, they go, oh, Uberlube, with their hands behind the product. Like, ooh, Uberlube.
But it's transparent. All I can see is your shoulder in the bottle.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
You need your hand.
I thought you meant me. I'm so transparent.
There we go.
Uberlube.
Oh, what can Uberlube do?
Well, it is good for, those late night functions in your bedroom.
Ooh.
I know. I would bring my mom on to tell you about it, but she's upstairs.
With her Uberlube.
With her Uberlube. So everybody knows it comes in bottles.
They're gorgeous.
And travel size.
So when you're on the road, you can still lube up. But you can also, honestly, you can use this on your hair. It gives it a nice sheen. Nobody realizes that. Yeah,
we're going to have to ask our guests if they used it because they are owners of the product too.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know, it comes in black, silver, gold, red. Really nice colors for the holidays, red and gold.
Mm-hmm. And they make perfect stocking stuffers.
For the kids.
And to stuff other stockings later. Uberlube.
Uberlube, made in the USA. So, Tim, every week, once in a while, we have some questions and answers.
I love our questions.
Some people ask for advice.
Yes.
But if anybody needs any help in that department, if they're looking for some advice, they could hit us up. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Loose Lips, the podcast. Shoot us a DM, right?
Oh, listen to us. We're very internet savvy now.
Mm-hmm. Or they can even send us an email to ikeavellievents@hotmail.com.
But also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Loose Lips, the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my God. So, I mean, are you ready to jump in?
Hell yes.
Yes. Well, our guest, she does it all, firstly. Comedian, magician, published writer, producer. She's toured all over the country, Europe and Asia as well. She's founder and part owner of the lounge in the Lounge at the End of the Universe in Boise, Idaho, where we just took 50 Shades of Gay for 3 nights in July. I love it.
And I don't know if you know this or not, Tim, but she was also a resident magician at Caesars Palace Casino in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. Celine Dion who? That was on the West Coast. And, of course, she's been on the East Coast, too, at Lincoln Center's Avery Fisher Hall. And there is so much we are going to chat about tonight, but we can't forget the most important part is she is an amazing mom.
Yes.
So please welcome Jen Adams.
Yes!
We love Jen Adams.
Oh, well, I love you guys. I miss you so much. And I wish you would just move here and just be Idahoans with me.
We're actually hiding in the little storage closet with Coral.
Yes.
The other owner.
Where's she at?
Where'd she go? Coral, we can't see you.
In trouble with
Maybe
her.
she forgot to turn the lights on.
Oh, she's muted, too.
All right. Well, maybe she's going to be back.
Well, hopefully she'll pop in on us in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just start.
So, Jen, you are in Boise, Idaho.
Yes, I am. After 15 years now, which it's still a surprise to me.
Yeah.
So where were you born and raised before Boise?
So this is something I didn't like to, hi, Coral, there she is. Something that I don't advertise a lot because it's always easy to just say, well, I'm a born and raised New Yorker. My parents left New York City and moved down to Florida because my dad was getting a lot of cruise ship work at the time and he was leaving out of ports in Florida. And so, and he was a professional magician. So they moved down there with my older sister who was a baby and my mom was pregnant. So I was actually born in Coconut Grove, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then when I was 2 months old, my mom said, screw this, I want to go back to New York. So I was back in New York City at 2 months old. So, I mean, I'm a native New Yorker, raised on the Lower East Side, or as the real estate agents at the time said, the East Village, so that they could make it, desirable for people to want to move in.
Yes.
I was one of those real estate people saying that at that time.
Nice. That's good. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, so it was during, my earliest memories are from when New York was absolutely bankrupt. As a matter of fact, and there was just, the Bowery was 2 blocks from my apartment. So, there were the bums out on the street, and CBGB's right there. So it was both a amazing time and kind of a very like profane time to be there. Right. I'm grateful that I'm from there, but yeah, it definitely left its scars as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you've definitely got that New York.
The mentality, you're in it. So then, did you start performing? Because you started at an early age. Did you start performing in New York, or when did you?
Yeah,
leave?
so I, I think my dad was always looking to find things to put in the show, and I'm sure the already readily available children were a lot easier than the animals.
Yes.
So
right.
So we just started popping out of stuff in his show. He had a family show, so we did like the Brooklyn Academy of Music once a year, and they would bus inner city kids in from all of the boroughs, and we'd do a week there. And then I loved it, so like I was always like, oh, you're going to the Poconos for the weekend, I want to go. So I would just kind of tag along, and he just found ways to kind of fit me into the show.
And then you learned the process and the tricks, literally the tricks of the trade.
So I learned how to be a really great magic assistant early. And I learned like my first stuff when I started working with him professionally was actually like backstage tech and lighting and that kind of, and setting props and things like that. And it was a real true mentorship in that sense. Like if you start working with a performance magician, you usually learn all the things surrounding it before you actually start doing magic in the show. So I learned a lot of stagecraft. One of the things a lot of people don't talk about, I think, specifically when it comes to, your magic partner, what they call the assistant, is learning how to be on stage, but become invisible at moments and then take focus when you need to. And then, kind of without ever leaving. And so I learned how to do that, like just kind of disappear right in plain sight when I needed to. But I mean, I loved it. So we did all kinds of crazy gigs. My dad was one of these guys that, really came like at the tail end of vaudeville. He always felt like he was born way too late. Right. And he was from Peoria, which was a huge vaudeville stopover. Right. Yeah. So he was born in 1937 and he was already performing when he was like 12 years old. So there was like the sort of tail end of the vaudeville circuit coming through. And so he had this mentality of like, you don't say no to a gig. It doesn't matter what it is. So we would be at like Westbury Music Fair or the Paper Mill Playhouse one weekend. And then like 2 days later, we'd be on the Upper East Side in someone's apartment doing a birthday party show. And, his attitude was like, this stuff in between is your bread and butter money. Like the big gigs are nice, but this is the stuff that pays your bills every day. That and he was always like, even if you're not working, you tell people you're working.
Yeah.
He had some sound advice.
Yes,
definitely.
He did. My favorite thing he ever said, I'll never forget it. One day he just looked at me backstage and he goes, show business is all about taking a little piece of shit and making it dance. And he went like this.
That's true.
It is.
Voila.
But so when you step, because that would have been quite a transition to step out from being the partially invisible assistant to the magician out in front.
Yeah, so he gave me little guest spots in the show. So I'd work up like a little 3 to 5 minute piece. And then he would introduce me and set me up, and then I would come out and work. Now I never spoke the entire time I worked with him because I was just really shy about it, I guess, at that point. And I had never spoken. I mean, I worked with him for 5 years, and I said 3 words on stage every night, which were "change, it's me," and that was like at the end of the show for our big closer, which was a Houdini illusion. and that was it. So coming out on stage and doing magic, it was already frightful enough for me, and so I didn't speak, and it wasn't until he passed away. He passed away when I was 19,
wow.
and then. And we had gigs still planned, and that was not only our family business and the way that we made money for not just ourselves, but also to, you know, support my mom and the other kids that still lived at home. But I didn't know what else, like, I didn't know how to do anything else. I dropped out of high school to go do that. So I just sort of took the show over, and he had a couple of other apprentices, and we just kind of made the show work and fulfilled the gigs that we had, and kind of just tried to keep going. So
Wow.
it was an interesting time. I was like, the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
so would you say that's how you got into your solo path? Because you have so many different genres. You've tackled it all. You really have.
Yeah. So
and just real quick, Coral, I'm sorry, we're not avoiding you.
Yeah.
You're next.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Continue with your solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad's show was very theatrical. I mean, besides being a magician, he was in like 60 on and off Broadway shows. He was one of the few people that made it to like the final callbacks for the role in Marathon Man. He hated Dustin Hoffman ever since, because he came down to like Dustin Hoffman and him and like one other guy. Right. So he had a couple of almosts that he sort of never got over. But he did a lot of Broadway. We played Broadway. We played the Promenade Theater on Broadway. Which I believe Ricky Jay years later did his Ricky Jay and his 50 assistants at, and then Lincoln Center. I was 17 when we did that gig, so it was with my dad. And it was amazing. We had a 60-piece orchestra behind us playing our music for the magic show, which is crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But when he passed away, you know, he had a lot of characters in his show. He would start out as Merlin, as like an old wizard.
Cool,
And then he would do these quick changes into these different characters that would progressively get younger. And then the last one was he would take all of it off, and like the, you know, last 20 minutes of the show would be him. And he had a tramp clown character that was loosely based off of Emmett Kelly, who was a very famous ring clown.
Kind of the hobo.
The hobo, yes, exactly. And then he had a very sort of stuffy Englishman who wore a monocle named Dong Jean, and he had a big handlebar mustache, and it was all very. I mean, we had a guy in a gorilla suit in the show. I mean, it was like, it was pretty crazy.
But I love how he combined the magic with the theater. That you know, he was very theatrical. Yeah,
and I think a lot of my magic was really influenced by the fact that there was always a storyline behind it, and it was character driven. But when he died, it was easy for me to just sort of put the costumes on and like do the and crazy. I actually like put the Merlin stuff on and did like the old man wizard thing. Like I was. And that wound up morphing into, I was like, well, you know, what would be really cool is if we did a quick change out of that, and then it was a female. So and I got some attention for that, which was good from like the magic world, and there's lots of magic conventions and things. So I would go and, you know, start the show as this sort of old wizard guy, and then I had a quick change piece where I would just throw a curtain up, and then it would be me in a pinstripe zoot suit with like all of my hair and my derby hat. Which people were like, "Holy shit, it's a girl!" So I mean, just that alone. So
you were drag before it even started.
Right. Well, it's funny because when I met drag kings, I was like, I kind of was doing that without realizing I was doing that. So that was kind of interesting. So, but I mean, I had to talk. So doing it in costume was interesting. But I mean, I was at that point still a kid. I had no idea who I was or what I wanted to talk about. And whenever I had to just be me on stage, I would have a panic attack about talking. Oh yeah, absolute panic attack. I didn't like it at all. And during that
you
time,
have to remember too, because when you were on stage with your dad, you were always the silent. You were right, so I kind of probably set in a little bit.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what you associated it with.
Yeah, for sure. So I got an opportunity to move to Las Vegas when I was 21, and I jumped at that. And I started out. It's funny because I've sort of like always backdoored my way into things. Like one of my favorite things.
So have I.
Uberlube, right? It's a perfect time for the product.
Insert Uberlube here.
Yeah. So I
lost Coral.
So I've sort of backdoored my way into my own kind of opening gig at Caesars. Because at the time they had opened this, it was like an $80 million facility that was sort of modeled after the Magic Castle, but on a grand scale. It's called the Caesars Magical Empire. And it was past the sports book, if anybody remembers that era. Yeah. So you'd go and there was like this weird elevator thing. And it was a total cool illusion, but you'd get in and it would like take you down underground into these catacombs. And really it was just this thing going up and, giving you. And then you'd come out and there'd be all these people in togas and this huge like fire pit in the middle of this underground. It was gorgeous, absolutely beautiful place. And so I went there with a group of other magicians and we had worked together on and off just throughout the years. And so I started out in somebody else's show and backstage teching. And that's where I met another female magician who was also the daughter of a famous magician. And I was like, there's nobody else in the world that is going to understand me like you understand me, right?
Exactly.
So we like became thick as thieves. Her name's Luna Shimada. And she's the daughter of a famous magician named Shimada, who's a Japanese magician who actually just passed away, I think 3 months ago. And so she kind of, she was about 10 years older than me. So she just kind of took me under her wing and she went around and introduced me to all of the magicians and gave me enough credibility with what I was doing.
Yeah.
That people were like, oh, we should pay attention to her. So she really kind of helped me break out on my own. So when Caesars was looking for like regular opening acts for the big stage act. And also they had a parlor there, a parlor of prestidigitation, which is like a parlor magic is like, it's like stand-up magic, but for a seating of like 50. So you could still do smaller things because people are kind of up on you and it was raked seating. And so I got to be a resident there for a couple of years, just doing all of the openings for the headliners of those shows. And it was amazing experience. It made me quit magic, actually.
Really?
Well, I mean, you work 6 nights a week, up to 7 shows a night, and eventually you're like, I hate this.
Yeah,
so,
that would be a lot.
Oh man.
Yeah. When be careful what you ask for, right? Because it's like, well, I just wish I could be a performer full time. Well, great. Now it's all the time. You're like, oh God.
Yeah, right.
So, but it was during that time that I was doing kind of a lot of soul searching because I got into magic because of my dad. He and I were very close. We had a close relationship. And also I knew I wanted to be a performer and magic was kind of my gateway into that. But it was during that time where I was like, is this really what I want to do? And I started really looking at the material that I had done and my original stuff. And I was like, everything that I do is based on comedy. And then I sort of had this revelation and I realized that I had been watching stand-up since I was like 5. I never missed a stand-up special. My favorite comedian from when I was 6, and I'm sure some people will be judgy towards my parents, was George Carlin. They let me watch whatever I wanted to.
God.
And so I went, oh, I think maybe I'm actually a comedian, And so I just wrote material and went to an open mic, which a comedy open mic in Vegas is like the most depressing scene you have.
I've done it.
Ever.
I've done it. There was a thing. I don't know if it was there when you were there, called Vegas on the Mic. I don't know.
No, because I left there in 99. I left there just before 2000.
I went to Big Al's comedy at Orleans. I don't know if it was Orleans. It was one of them, and oh my God, I'm like, I'm going back to New York.
Yeah,
it was exactly what we said. It was very depressing.
It's and my very first open mic, because I looked up something local because I was a little nervous because I was already kind of known in the industry for being good at something, and I was like, I think I'm not that good at this thing, so let me find a place to go. So my first open mic was at a place called the Las Vegas Lounge, which was this bar underneath an escort service. So my first stand up was for a bunch of hookers and their johns. And I did really well, which gave me thank God, because it gave me this great false sense of like, oh, I could do this, because then the next 3 or 4 months that I was still in Vegas was horrible. Yeah. We play these places and people are at the bar playing video poker.
Yeah.
And if you get them to look up and acknowledge you, you're killing. That's all you should ever expect. Just that. So,
I remember.
Then I just moved to Austin because I thought, okay, I could go there and suck at this and nobody's going to know. I knew one person in Austin. I was like, this is good. I could go there and be bad and just sort of figure this shit out. And I did. I sucked there for like 2 years before it sort of like turned around. So.
Oh, you've hit it all. You've hit East, West, Midwest. You were all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I stayed in the country with my dad when I moved to Vegas. Then I wound up I was in Japan for a little while. We went to France and Monte Carlo. And then, later So I've had some pretty cool opportunities just to travel. And I mean, it's really hard, like being the kid of a magician who's performed for 2 presidents. I don't even know where the picture is. I wish I could show it to you. It's my favorite picture of my dad. He's like 22 years old. I'll try to find it and send it to you. But he's standing in the White House and he's standing next to Harry Truman.
Wow.
But he has his arm around Audrey Hepburn and he could give a shit that the president's right there. He's like, hey, and he has this great smirk on his face. And it's like, how do I top that? He performed for him. He performed for Robert Kennedy at the Kennedy Center, and had performed in 30 countries around the world. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to, I don't know.
Oh, Jen, you could perform for the Kardashians one day. Right? Come on.
I suppose I could. And then I guess if I could get them to look up from their cell phones.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, looking up from their porn tape.
Flashbacks from my Vegas open mic days.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
So then how did you get to Boise?
Oh God. Well, I'm going to try to cliff note this because I'm sure, people are going to check the hell out here. It was so many things in my life have happened by accident. So I had moved to Austin, then I moved to San Diego, which is where I became a Comedy Store comic. And then I was working at the, Comedy Store in Hollywood and the one down mostly in La Jolla because it was the kinder, gentler club. The one in California was a little, I just had like seedy vibes. So, and then I got kind of sick of LA and that whole, and I'm going to go back to New York. I want to be back in New York where, it doesn't matter how you look. You just have to have talent. I just want that. Can I just have that? So I moved back to New York and then I booked a show with Viacom, VH1. And it was like Dancing with the Stars, but with magic. So they, basically they hired 7 magic coaches. I was their one female magic coach. Mm-hmm. And then they were going to assign us, like, I don't know, C and D list celebrities that we would like show magic to. And then they would compete against each other. So I got all ready and I flew back to Los Angeles. But when we were going to fly back, I was dating a guy who was from Boise and he was kind of an up and coming comedian. And I said, well, I don't want to keep this apartment. It's expensive if we're not going to be here. So why don't we just like pack our stuff and drive it to Boise? Because I'm probably going to be filming for a couple months. Mm-hmm. And then like, you say his parents had a big acre with some different guest areas and stuff. So I can kind of fly back and forth or we'll figure that out. But that way we're not spending, $2,500 a month on an apartment in New York. Nobody's in. And then after I'm done filming, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll go back to New York. Maybe we won't. And so dropped him off in Boise, flew to LA, and we met up for the show. I was very excited about it. We had some really, really awesome people on it. We had, oh God, I'm blanking on his name. The main guy from Queer as Folk.
Carson Kressley?
No. Oh God. I can't remember his name. Little brunette guy whose mom was played by oh God. Anyway.
I don't.
I'll blurt it out like I have Tourette's later. Kid Reed from Kid and Play was one of the people in it. The comedian Ant, he was in it.
I remember him. Yeah.
And then the celebrity they gave me was C. Thomas Howell, and I was like over the fucking moon. Because I was like, oh God, Pony Boy from the
Outsiders, yes.
So we start filming, and they put us up right next to the Magic Castle. We were filming at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and then the Magic Castle Hotel was right next door. And it was like one of those Melrose Place places where you walk into a courtyard and all the rooms are kind of around it. So 3 days into filming, I went to bed at like 8 o'clock at night because makeup call was 5 in the morning, and I was like, oh God. So I'm gonna go to sleep. So somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up with someone on top of me with their hand on my mouth. And I started screaming and they were just yelling, shut the F up. This person had tried to break into the Magic Castle and then hop the wall. And my room was right outside. It was like a hotel suite, so it had a kitchen and like, you know, a couple different rooms in it. And he later, I looked at the police photos. He'd put a 2x4 up to the kitchen window, pried it open, and crawled inside, and then saw an opportunity. So luckily, I got away, so nothing happened to me. But the show essentially like fired me for almost getting raped.
Oh my God.
But they did it under the guise of like, oh, you know, because at the end of it, they moved me to a different hotel. And I said, look, I'm shaken up, but I'm good to work. Like, let's just work. I'm fine. Like, nothing actually happened. You know, if you want to get me a on-set psychiatrist, whatever, fine. But instead they were like, you know what? This is just a TV show. We want you to go away and get better, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to pay you. And then they just sort of like refused to let me keep working. And they sent me away. So, and I had a couple things in New York that I was doing. And I swear that gave me worse PTSD than the actual incident.
Wow.
Just like, you know, because I feel like I was being punished. There's nothing I could do about it. So I went back to Boise, and then I flew to New York for another thing that I had. And I was just on the street, and I had like a massive panic attack, like just like where I couldn't breathe and like I couldn't see anything. And I was like, well, God, what was that? And so then I went back to Boise, then I had to fly back to New York for something else. And then it happened again. And I was like, okay, this is only happening when I'm like apparently overstimulated or something. So I just stayed here because I felt safe and I wasn't having these crazy panic attacks. So anyway, that's the fun story of how I moved to Boise.
No, I mean, you know, it's so funny because we know you, but we didn't get to know you while we were there. You know, so I love that this is, you know, you're
had quite a journey, journey.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the long run, when I finally realized, like, okay, I'm staying here for a while. What I noticed first about Boise was that there wasn't a lot of everything in the arts, but what was here was very high quality, and that was really exciting. And that there were needs everywhere around the city. So I just started producing shows anywhere I could, and it was so easy to do that I was like, this is the freedom I've been looking for. I started the Cherry Bombs Burlesque with another gal here named B. Williams, who went by Lady Bomb Deluxe, big 6 foot, gorgeous, plus size Black woman. Like, and so we just started this troupe, and actually a lot of the scene here, a lot of those girls came out of our troupe. And you know, that was a blast because I had worked at the Velvet Hammer in LA as their resident like burlesque magician, which, by the way, you should probably look up the video. You should put into YouTube Trixie von Haza. There's a trick in there with the balloon that I did at the El Rey Theater when I was with the Velvet Hammer. It's worth a watch.
Okay, I got it.
You'll have questions afterwards.
We'll do a part 2.
Yeah, but I mean, I just, you know, it was like I could just experiment and do anything I wanted here. And there were a lot of people that were willing to try whatever the hell weird thing I wanted to do. And then there were venues that were willing to book it. So I was like, you know what? Why would I go anywhere when I could just stay here and just really kind of explore stuff? So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I got knocked up. So I have a wonderful child now.
Yes.
Whom I love. Who has recently come out as trans. So we are now he, him.
Okay. Good.
And celebrating that. And we just had Boise Pride, which happens in September. And so that just happened last weekend, which was kind of cool. So, you know, that was a journey I never thought I was going to take. But I'm very glad that I did. It's made me a better human.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing mom, you know.
Thank you. Well, I mean, my kids done open mic. We actually they're doing a gig with me for the Hyde Park Street Festival this coming Sunday. We're doing some magic together, which is super fun.
Fun.
I get to be like, this is my third generation magician.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. I can understand the pride I think my dad felt when he was like, oh, this is cool, like that you're interested in this. So
now, what is your son's name?
Puck.
Puck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a nickname for right now because last name is Pakutka. So we picked Puck just till we kind of figure everything out. So
right. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
So, yeah.
I'm not sure what happened to Coral. We lost Coral.
Oh, she probably got bored because she's heard all this shit before.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, because now we're going to get into how the lounge at the end of the universe came about.
Well, yes, because Coral is
Yes.
owner with you.
Yes.
The lounge at the end of the
I know,
universe.
and now she's gone, and I actually want her to like weigh in on this. So we'll see where she's at. She probably texted me that was like, I can't sit through listening to this shit again. There she is. All right. Okay, I'm gonna be like, come back, it's your turn. All right. So
but when she comes back in, just go, and then other stuff.
I know, it's funny. I just like so the lounge was another accident. Like so many things that just happen because weird things happen. So
I'm a strong believer of the universe, that the universe
right? I know
will make things happen. If you don't see it, it will just do it anyway.
100%. So once I had Puck, I was like, well, I'm not going to tour anymore. So that kind of flipped the comedy wings. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. I managed a regional trivia company for a while and like trained people to live host trivia. And then I did some myself. And then once I stopped doing that, I became a radio host, a morning show host. Which again was an accident. I went on like just to screw around with a guy, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to be a host," and I was like, "Oh, guess I'm a radio DJ now." Okay. so and then they let me go from that, and then I had about 6 months where I was like, "Well, what the hell am I going to do? You know, I don't want to get a real job. Like I've never had a real job ever, except for you know moonlighting as a bartender here and there." And so then this lady had opened this place called the Gem Center for the Arts, and they had hired me to basically MC the gala, the opening gala of the place. So I went and did that, and I said, hey, I want to talk to you about how you did this, because I had been thinking about doing something similar about 15 miles away where I was living at the time. And we got together, and during the conversation, she kind of told me how she made the thing happen, but also that she was putting together this immersive art, like Meow Wolf type thing. And she had found out I was a magician, and also that I was into puzzles and escape room stuff. And so she wanted to add all of these optical illusions and elements to it. And so she sort of like sucked me in to the project. And I got to the first meeting, and when they were talking about how it was going to work, well, we're going to let 15 people in, you know, roughly 15 to 20 minutes apart so that they're staggered and whatever. And I was like, well, where's everyone going to wait? Like when they're waiting to go in, or like, you know, what happens when they leave? I said, you need to open like a beer and wine lounge so that you can make money while you're waiting to make money. Yeah. And then at the end of it, so people have a place to gather and go like, oh my God, that was so, you know, just to talk about it. So she was like, well, I don't know anything about that. And I said, well, I've been working in bars since I was 13, so I'll help you. I got this, right? And plus, comedy club's just a bar with a stage in it anyway. So I said, okay. So she said, well, great. Here's my Lowe's card. You could spend up to $5,000 building the thing in. And about 2 weeks into the project, she goes, I don't want to own this because I have no idea what I'm doing. I think this needs to be yours. I'm willing to lose the $5,000 that you can invest in building it in, and I'm going to give you 3 months rent free to get up on your feet. So this amazing person just took a chance on me. And I was like, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
Every skill set I've ever built, right? Like, I mean, bar business, I've been a bartender, I've been a bar manager, I've been an entertainer, I've booked entertainment, I've produced shows. And I'm like, this is what I do. It's all of it. So, so the lounge got its name because originally it was adjacent to this Meow Wolf experience, where it was very like the whole premise of the place was that this 70s lab that was creating portals to other dimensions suffered the major earthquake that happened in, I think it was like 1976 in Boise. So they timelined it with something historical. And it made the lab have a meltdown, and they basically froze the lab, and everybody just left, and we had just rediscovered it. So each of these rooms were these portals into other dimensions. They were called pocket dimensions, right? And it was even complete with this crazy video that where it was like a sales guy like going, you could buy your own, kind of thing. So I wanted it to be something kind of sci-fi and techie and all that. So that's how the lounge got its name. It was only 850 square feet. We were next to a gallery that I kept throwing shows that were bigger and bigger, and it kept encroaching more and more into the gallery.
Wow.
So eventually, after being open for only 6 months, we made money right out of the gate. And so I met Coral. Coral used to be on one of my trivia teams.
Okay.
She was part of the Wild Wandering Winos was the name of the team that she was in. And so we just would chit chat, during the halftime break and whatever. And I really liked her. And, I told her what I was doing because I held on to one trivia night because I really liked the bar and I like getting out once a week. And so I told her, hey, I'm doing this thing. And so she started stopping by, and she'd stop by and she'd be like, oh, you need me help? You want to help painting that? Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Oh, do you need help? So she helped me build it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you'd make a really good bartender. Have you ever bartended before? And she said no. And I was like, well, great. I'll get you tip certified. So she was my first bartender. And then I was showing her how to throw events and how to do, and she just was there for all of it. So after about, I don't know, 9 months of being open, I was like, this place wouldn't be here without you. So I just gave her 10% of the business because she built it with me, and it wouldn't have happened without her. So she became part owner. And then a month later, lockdown happened.
Oh,
no. So 6 months in, we co-opted in the gallery, which made us go from 850 square feet to 3,000 square feet, and it more than tripled the rent. Then we had 4 glorious money-making months, and then lockdown.
Oh my God,
that was crazy. But yeah,
were you able to do stuff virtually?
Oh yeah. So I mean, for me, having the lounge made staying put make sense because I've always traveled as an entertainer, but I didn't want to be away from my kid. And so I was like, this has to make it. This is the first time I've ever, since I've been in Boise, where I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So we painted, the lounge is 42 or 3 feet wide. And so we did about a 12-foot deep. We painted the entire floor green screen green, and then the whole back wall. We turned the entire stage area into a immersive green screen studio, and bought live stream equipment. And we just went online. And all of the artists that we had there, we invited back and said, okay, so you guys are out of work too. So let's partner and collaborate. And here's what we're going to do. You'll come in, we'll advertise online. And we had restreams. So we were on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and wherever the hell we could be all at once. And when you come in, we're going to sell virtual tickets to your show that are donation based. And then whatever money people spend on your tickets, that all goes to you. And then we'll just beg for donations for the lounge in between to keep it going. And then but I mean, what was so great is, we've always tried to be very I'm a performing artist, and I don't know about you guys, but I got screwed a lot, by venues, by promoters, And so for me, it was really important to be very artist forward and to treat people the way that I always wished I could have been treated. The goal with the lounge is to be the place everybody wished they could have worked. You know what I mean? At least that I wish they could have worked. Yeah. So all of these artists showed up, and we were doing monthly streamathons, like the old school telethons. And so we'd do 12 hours of nonstop entertainment and just, call to action, help us pay rent. And we paid our rent for a few months like that. Wow. And for those, the artists would show up and just donate their time and just be on the air for, 45-minute chunk. We did cooking shows on that. I mean, we had a couple of craft shows, and, here's some things you could do at home. Everybody was going stir crazy. So we managed to make it through it and come out the other side. And then it was we're open. Just kidding. Oh, here we go.
No. And then we were. We met. I want to say it was last year. and we were going to do something. I forget what it was. And then the dates weren't working out. And then we revisited this year. And it was literally probably one of the best things we both did coming out to Boise.
Awesome. I know. I was so happy to have the show. Everybody that came loved it so much. You guys made me cry. Thanks. I will never listen to the song Creep again ever without thinking of you. Ever.
Thank you.
Like when Johnny Cash covers a song, you're like, that's his song now. That song's your song.
See?
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a blast, Jen, and every single person at the lounge treated us like royalty.
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing.
That's what it should be. Because, and here's the thing that the pandemic that I hope people really remember, because, you know, it's always the arts, the performing arts, all of it is the first thing to get cut when school budgets get cut.
Right.
Yep.
It's the first thing to be really devalued. People always expect you to give your art away for free. Like, like this isn't a job.
In this capitalist society.
Their children. And when you know, you're stuck at home, what did everybody reach for? They reached for books, and they reached for movies, and they reached for theater, and they reached for music. And it was that humanity that got us through all of that together. So artists to me are sacred people.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we thank you so much, Jen.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know what happened to Coral. She just did. I got a text. Oh, internet keeps dropping. Tried to send a message through the chat, but dropped. Okay. Oh, there it is. It's on the side. Sorry, everyone. I don't think the internet connection is going to let me do it.
Well, that's right, because we're going to play a game with you, Jen.
Okay.
And again, thank you so much for being on our show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we waited for this. We missed you since July. We can't get enough of you and everybody at the lounge.
But hopefully we'll be returning someday soon.
Yes.
Yay.
That's what we're working on.
You will, yeah. 2023, we're going to do it. Oh, by the way, I know that you had mentioned it earlier. I love my Uber Lube.
Yes.
It's good in your hair too.
Oh, I haven't tried it in my hair, but I will, because as it gets grayer, it gets very coarse. So if it's a good,
but it's amazing.
It'll work. Yeah.
Perfect.
So Tim, let Jen know what this game is about.
Well, it's called "What is Jen Thinking?" And kind of what we do is Ike will give you two choices of what you prefer or what you like, but don't say anything, and then we'll write it down, and then we try to figure, and then you tell us, and we'll see. Like, to start with, we'll say hot or cold.
Okay.
So don't answer.
So don't answer yet. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So do you prefer hot or cold?
Hot.
Hot.
Yes.
So we both got it right. So now we play this game. We play this game like vicious wrestlers.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's really competitive. Tim has won most of these for 2 years.
And there is biting involved.
Yes, there is. Fighting and biting. Right. So
what happened? If you win, what do you get?
Nothing.
Tim and I get to work together again. All right, so here we go. We're going to start the game.
Okay, I'm ready.
Phyllis Diller or Joan Rivers?
Oh, my goodness.
That is a tough one. I'm going to have to... don't say it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
I got to go Phyllis Diller on this one.
Wow, I had Joan.
Me too.
Yeah, no. Well, okay, and here's where it comes in. That's tough. So I picked Phyllis because I discovered her first when I was a kid, and I've always absolutely loved her. I feel like people pick Joan for me because maybe we remind each other of, like there's still that sort of like kind of thing. Yeah. But all right, okay. Nil for either of you.
Yes, I know. Nil. But we're still tied 1-1. East Coast or West Coast?
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
I feel like I'm screwed either way I answer this question. It's in no context.
I'm ready.
It's in no well, I mean, okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
East Coast.
Really? I had West.
I know because I live here, but
Because of the anxiety. No, because of the anxiety when you come out here.
Me too. That's what I was thinking, Tim. All right, I'm going to have to be Charles Nelson Miranda. Go.
I know. I feel like these need context because I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I almost picked West Coast, but then I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm homesick. I think I'm homesick. You know what? All it takes is 4 days in New York City, and I'm like, get me the fuck back out of here, please. Like, so.
All right, so we're still 1-1.
Okay.
But there's a lot on the East Coast other than New York, too.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to try this one, Jen. We're going to go outside the box a little bit. A ball gag or duct tape?
Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely duct tape.
Ball gag. Maybe I was thinking of my preference.
You want to know why? Because duct tape accomplishes the same thing as a ball gag, but you can also fix your magic props when they break.
I never thought of that. Yep.
I was thinking the lounge at the end of the universe. Unfortunately, not your bedroom, but that was... Okay, what do we got here? Okay, ready?
Yes.
This is the last one. Bacon or sausage?
Okay, I'm ready.
Bacon all day long.
Bam.
Yes. All right.
All right, so I did win that one, Tim.
You're up more.
I said that too.
It's ho, Idaho.
Idaho.
Indeed.
So now we're going to play something different. Tim and I have never done this before. We are going to do a little soap opera called Chock Full of Nuts, where today Chandelier will be played by Jen Adams.
Do I get any stage notes, or do I just get to pick my character?
Everything's in there.
Oh, there's a
dialogue. Jean-Claude is Tim Moss.
Jean-Claude.
I will be playing Billy Ray.
Okay, is there anything you want to tell me about Jean-Claude?
No.
Okay.
We're just going to make our own. We're going to make all our own characters here.
Okay.
So pretend we're on General Hospital. Go ahead.
Okay.
Jen, you pick it off.
Cue the music.
Is there music?
No.
I was waiting for
we're very low budget.
Oh, do you know how much I love you? Do you?
Frankly, I don't think you know what love is. You haven't been the same since your lobotomy.
But isn't that what men want in a woman?
Maybe so. See, yes, we.
Can we just go to Vegas and get married?
In through the door walks Billy Ray.
What the heck is going on here?
Oh. Well, I don't have any brains, so I can't answer that.
Truth be told, I think I went Italian. Truth be told, I am in love with Chandelier. You are my plaything. My very, very, very young plaything. I wonder who wrote this script.
Well, now I'm talking like you.
Yeah.
Wait. You promised me when I graduated high school in 2 years, you would propose to me.
Oh, I know I'm brain dead, but this doesn't sound legal.
Yeah, and if you're graduating in 2 years, I'm a fetus, please. You told me that you were graduating college in 2 years. So does this mean that we were intimate when you were the tender age of, oh Lord, this is going to be good, of,
Again, brain dead.
16. So I would probably think twice before you pick this shallow tot over me. It could cost you your career, you know.
I love tarts. Apple tarts, blueberry tarts, pumpkin tarts, all of the tarts.
Now,
will Jean-Claude pick Chandelier? If he does, will she know? Will Billy Ray have Jean-Claude arrested? If so, will Chandelier know where to find him? All these questions will be answered on the next episode of Chock Full of Nuts.
I know. You gotta get some bad organ music in there.
Oh, this was so much fun. You were part of our very first soap opera
I
episode.
decided to just channel Blanche from the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Like, oh Lord, I'm cramped.
I have this bad habit of when I'm hearing somebody else's accent of picking it up.
Yeah.
And now we started with Tim's. I did that. We had somebody on the phone. They called up and they were British and they were like, "Hey, may I speak to Michael?" And I was like, "No problem." I was like, "Stop it."
You know, I feel like a redo of the same script should be done, like just with like complete, I don't know, because I'm freaking brain dead. You're like, just
holding your brain.
I don't have a brain. Problem.
Yeah, right. Squishy, squishy, squishy.
Oh, it's so fun. There's certain accents that like, no matter, you could have like PhDs from MIT, but if you're talking to me about it like this, I'm like, you sound like a moron. I like, whatever. Hey, come on.
Oh my God, Jen, thank you so much for being our guest
I love
tonight.
you guys.
We
I hope
love
there's
you.
usable stuff in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, are you kidding?
So
This is
much.
just so you know, this is going to air on the audio platforms on Saturday. Next Wednesday, it will air on YouTube. We love
Okay.
you so much.
Uncut,
Do me a favor.
just like the men I like, it'll be uncut.
Fantastic. Things we now know about Tim. So do me a favor, go look up the Trixie von Haza video from the Velvet Hammer. And then you definitely want to put that in the links on the YouTube video so that people can go watch that.
Absolutely. But please tell everybody where they can find you, the lounge.
Yes. So you can follow us on Instagram at Lounge at the End of the Universe, because I'm a moron and I made it the entire thing. And then we're on Twitter at Lounge Boise. That is also what we are on Facebook. Actually, Facebook is LEU Boise. But you could go to our website, which is just loungeboise.com. And that has like kind of what we're about on it, all our upcoming shows. And if you go on the Facebook page, all of our live streams, they're all cataloged there. So you can see. And if you like, it's kind of the first one we ever did. It's like it goes from like embarrassing to just kind of less embarrassing slowly, because we had no idea what we were doing. But like you can sort of see how we were slightly, slowly improving things and whatever. But yeah, that whole era is just up there, archived on Facebook. So you just go watch it if you want to kind of see what we were doing. We were all out of our friggin' minds. And not that that's changed, but I adore you both. Thank you.
Also, to our wonderful dear friend Coral, who didn't get to say one word.
I know. We need to get the goddamn internet at the friggin' lounge fixed.
Right. Jeez, what'd you do during the pandemic, right?
But tell her we love her too.
Yeah, and everyone at the lounge.
The lounge would not be there if it was not for her. She's my work wife, and we got matching tattoos.
Tattoos, yes.
We did, and I wore a long sleeve shirt like a dum-dum. But yeah.
Please send our love to everybody at the lounge.
Absolutely.
And all of the love to you guys from the lounge.
This is where we wave goodbye, Jen.
Oh.